In the name of God, most beneficent, most merciful, my name is Ikram Haq, and I'm Outreach Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations, Dallas-Fort Worth Chapter. And I welcome you all and thank you all for showing up today. Perhaps you will agree with me that it's a dark day for America today.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's a dark day for the U.S. Constitution.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a dark day for immigrants' rights, and it's a dark day for religious freedom.
Yes.
So, without further ado, we have several speakers lined up and to share their thoughts with us tonight. The first up is the CARE DFW Legal Director, Don Tree Tatum, and he's going to read a statement on behalf of CARE DFW. Don Tree.
What do we do?
The Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations denounces today's U.S. Supreme Court decision to uphold the Trump administration Muslim ban. The decision is unjust, racist, Islamophobic, and impartial. 4 of the 9 justices opposed this decision. In her dissenting opinion, Justice Sotomayor wrote, "A reasonable observer would conclude that the proclamation was driven primarily by anti-Muslim animus rather than by the government's asserted national security justifications." Even before being sworn into office, then candidate Trump stated that Islam hates us. As Zena McLaughlin, CARE National Litigation Director, rightly pointed out, today's ruling sits alongside other similarly shameful Supreme Court decisions allowing Japanese American internment and segregation. Indeed, today's decision is a dark day for justice, but make no mistake, we, alongside with our allies, interfaith partners, and people of conscience will continue to fight for justice until justice prevails. More than at any other time, we should register to vote and remove from office politicians who abuse their powers and discriminate against us and who deny us equal treatment under the law. This ban has already caused tremendous suffering for countless families and entire communities. By upholding it, the justices are keeping spouses apart from each other and separating children from their parents. They're also depriving patients of life-saving health care and blocking access to education. The Muslim ban is part of President Trump's larger un-American war on immigrant families, including his administration's inhumane separation of children and parents at the border. Let us resolve that we will continue to organize and mobilize until justice and freedoms are restored and until all of humanity is treated equally despite different skin colors, religion, or national origin. I will now pass the mic back over.
All right.
Next up is Samira Maddox. She is founder and president of Mu Delta Alpha, the national Muslim female sorority, and a Somali American, one of the countries that has been impacted by this decision.
Hold it really close. Oh, thank you. So, in the name of God, the most beneficial, the most merciful, I'm here today to show you the face of American Somalis, right? I'm here to show you the face of the people who've been banned to come to this country, right? I'm not thinking about myself, but I'm thinking about the Somalians who are stuck in Kenya, wherever they are, in refugee camps, who've been there for 25 years after the war in Somalia and waiting to be protected by America, right? Today, right, it's a shame, right? Our parents cannot come to this country, right? We are the face of the people who've been refused to come to this country, right? Immigrants are not a threat. Immigrants don't come from a garbage country.
That's right.
We don't choose to come here, right, because of our circumstances. That's why we're here, right? We don't choose to leave our beautiful beaches, our parents, our family, and leave everything behind. It's because what happens to our countries. That's why we come here, right? But guess what? I'm not angry because we're banned or anything, right? As Maya Angelou say, right? There's a rainbow everywhere there's a dark cloud. Right after a rain and a dark cloud, there's always a rainbow. Guess who's the rainbow? It's you today coming out, holding these signs. This gives us hope, right? It's you who don't know nothing about Somalia, have never been to Somalia or anywhere else where immigrants come from. You are the people who give us hope, right? America, you are the rainbow for us today, right? Standing up with us today, right?
Thank you.
That's why we're here, because we believe in you Americans, right? Us, that we will rise. The African Americans, that happened to them too. The Japanese happened to them too. It's happening to our Hispanic brothers and sisters, right? It's happening to us too. Happened to the women, right? We shall rise. And the only way we rise, we have to go vote, right? We cannot stay home and say we'll be okay. We have to go and vote. That's how we change things systematically. That's what we're facing. Thank you for having me today.
That was a powerful speech. Next up is Reverend Daniel Cantor. He is Senior Minister and CEO of First Unitarian Church of Dallas.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here tonight from Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. Tonight we're here to speak moral and faithful words to the politics of division. We, the members of Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square, are here first to say that we will not be divided. We will not back down in the face of legalized discrimination by our government. As people of faith, we are appalled by actions by our elected officials and the highest appointed court in the land to blatantly ban our Muslim brethren. Call it what you will, this is institutionalizing racism and fear in our communities against a diverse and peaceful people. The travel ban attempts to have us believe that this is about security and safety. But we share the hope for safe and secure communities and borders too. But our government continues to politicize the crossing of borders, demanding nationalism, not true patriotism. We are the patriots who believe freedom and prosperity for all people is the goal of our country. We are the patriots who say that when we fail to live up to these ideals for all, as we do in so many ways, today at our borders and in our airports and in the mean-spirited message that we send to the world that we will close our borders to some because of their form of worship of God or where they live, that we are here to stand as witnesses to the immorality and unpatriotic actions of our government. We are the patriots who together dissent as our right and our responsibility. We call upon all people of faith, no matter what denomination within you reside or God you worship, to speak out against hate and fear, to resist division, and to know that our country is not under threat. We are being asked to believe there is a threat, but there is no threat from peaceful people who want to come here and live peacefully in our land. Seeds of division shall only cause us to hate and fear each other. We are a country of souls who seek together the pursuit of the same things: safety, security, freedom, prosperity, and unity. We refuse to demonize each other and call on people of faith and people of no organized faith at all to look deeply into the scriptures of their religions and to the measures of their lives to see if it says that we should exclude, that we should bar or ban each other, or rather does it say we must pursue love and empathy at all costs. Friends, in the words of Justice Sotomayor today, she said the United States of America is a nation built upon the promise of religious liberty. The court's decision today fails to safeguard that fundamental principle. May we, the people, tonight live up to the fundamental principles of our land, even as our government fails us. And let us be together resolute that we will join together in dissent against this decision. And tonight we say, in the words of the hymn, the old hymn and the psalmist, that we shall not be moved.
Right.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Daniel Cantor, for your words of wisdom, your words of solidarity, and your words of hope. Next up is Deborah Williams of the Joy Empowerment Center. She will recite the spoken word, peace.
Greetings, neighbors. Greetings, neighbors. Who is my neighbor? My neighbor to love. Is it people with familiar pockets, skin, and beliefs in God above? Is it those that are easy to embrace, easy on the eyes, and suiting to one race? Or is it the one that is unbathed, carrying a stench, or the one that's invisible, often bringing offense? Because they are not scholarly, with their nose turned in the air, comfortable in their privilege and discarding the marginalized with no cane. Is it a family crossing borders for freedom as belief? Is it that one at the tarmac from the east, visa in hand seeking relief, not as the Constitution suggests, but at the mercy of a commander-in-chief, no less? Who is my neighbor to love? Is it people with familiar pockets, skin, and belief in God above? Is it those that are easy to embrace, easy on the eyes and suiting to one race? Who is my neighbor to love? God so loved us, we were all both neighbor and friend. We are to love God and our neighbors as charged. We are to guard. We are commanded to embrace our neighbors, so why do we find it so hard? We miss God in the moments when we cross the road, when we see children in distress, disconnected from their parents. What a heavy load. Separated from their parents, being detained at borders and airports. We are losing our souls through decrees in these U.S. courts. Our neighbors reflect the beauty of creation. Avoid decisions out of our ignorant, privileged frustrations. We are to keep the widow, the orphan, the jail, and the neighbor. We are to entertain the stranger with angelic etiquette. Who is my neighbor to love? Is it people with familiar pockets, skin, and beliefs in God above? Is it those that are easy to embrace, easy on the eyes, and suited to just one race? Who is my neighbor to love?
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you for the inspiring words. For the next speaker, I don't have to go too far. He's standing right next to me. Julio Acosta, Dallas activist and member of the Untitled Chapter 102.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. So I'm here in representation of the League of United Latino American Citizens, Council 102. On Saturday, many people here came with us to McAllen, and we witnessed a bus, being taken with inside their children, and their presence meant the world to them and to all of us. When the bus went away after about 20 minutes of us detaining it, I remember all of us crying. And I remember how I felt when I saw the pictures of their faces, and the pictures of Omar Sulema touching the bus and praying over those children. And I'm here today because I want you to know that me personally, I'm doing absolutely everything I can for Latinos to realize that we have to be here. For people of all backgrounds to realize that this is one fight. Christian, Muslims, Jews, brown, black, yes, white, brown, orange, green, every purple. All of us, we are human beings. Yes. And all of us have to be here. So everyone out there watching, please know that there is something you can do. Look for whatever you can do. Being here is one thing. Being an advocate and an ally in your own right, in social media, or look for a group in wherever you are. But definitely, my suggestion is connect to a group that is already doing the work and support them, or ask them, how can I help? So thank you all for being here. We just wanted to be here in solidarity with you all because you have been, and you always will be in solidarity with us. We just wanted to be here tonight.
I'd like to introduce our next speaker, County Commissioner Judge Clay Jenkins. He was absolutely instrumental at the airport last year and has always been an absolute wonderful advocate for the Muslim community and for all marginalized communities. Judge Jenkins.
All right, Judge. I wanted to be here tonight with you because today we are all Muslims.
All right.
Yeah. We are all refugees seeking asylum. We cannot be divided in a time when this country, when the very principles that founded this country are under attack.
That's right.
I want to tell you some stories. I want the public, not so much you, because I think you understand this, those of you who are here, but the people that can hear my voice on the media. I want you to understand the people that are stuck in this Muslim ban. At the airport, when we finally got those people free, the mayor and I had the opportunity to visit each of them. And I was struck by a couple of things. One is they were all grandparents and parents of people who were in their late 20s, didn't have kids yet. They were all older parents, and they just wanted to come and see their families. That's who is affected by this ban. There was a lady, she did not speak English, but she wanted to say thank you to the mayor is always one step ahead. And we went to Kroger and got some white roses, and we gave the white roses to the people. And the woman wanted to say thank you. She wanted to say something to us. I think it was her grandson was translating. And the woman said to me, thank you for helping me. I just wanted to see my grandkids one more time before I die. These are the sort of people that we are disaffecting and hurting with the Muslim ban. I will also tell you the work that you did at the airport was outstanding. It totally changed the dynamic of what was happening. We would not have known who those people were that were being detained had you not won over the hearts of the maintenance staff to get us the information about who was back there. So let that be a lesson to people, and we see this with the court watchers down at the courthouse with the immigrant children seeking asylum. Any person, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be a person in power to make a tremendous difference. These people at the airport made a tremendous difference. And so I wanted to be here tonight with you. It's not lost on me, by the way. Let me say something about my Muslim brothers and sisters, my friends. When I reached out to the Office of Refugee Resettlement and told them we would take children here, one of the first people to offer aid was Iman Omar Swan. The person who set up the faith call that 100 different faith leaders got on to find out how they could help those children, I venture to say none of whom were Muslim, was Omar Suleiman. And so Muslims get what is happening to this country. Jews, I spoke to the Jewish Federation this afternoon, get what is happening to this country. First generation Americans get what is happening to this country. And we need everyone that can hear our voice tonight to get what is happening to this country and rise up. And the most important thing you can do right now is help those who are being marginalized. One of the best ways to help them is just to get educated, get registered, and vote.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
My name is Alia Salem, and at the time of the ban, I was the executive director for CARE. I'm now the president and co-founder for Facing Abuse and Community Environments, and also a co-chair for the Dallas Palestine Action Committee. When we were there last year, when we were mobilized in order to respond to the first iteration of the Muslim ban, people came out from all over the community, from all backgrounds, from all walks of life, and really turned up and showed what America was all about. And they continued, and they stayed with us, and they stayed beside us. And beautiful coalitions came out of that, and beautiful work came out of that. We are just in the beginning stages of doing this work. And I want to make a note, because we're oftentimes responding and saying, oh, Trump this, oh, Trump that, oh, Trump this. Listen, the Supreme Court of the United States of America upheld the ban. This is not Donald Trump.
That's right.
This is our institution of the United States. We have allowed this to happen. And if you are uncomfortable and you are upset and you want to see something happen, then you have to get involved. You have to do something. You have to do your part. And voting is not even going to be enough. Because we all voted, I assume, I hope all y'all voted. But we voted and Donald Trump was still elected president.
Well.
So you're going to have some conversations
They had a
with
little
people.
help.
My white brothers and sisters need to have some conversations with some people in their community. My Christian brothers and sisters need to have some conversations. And we all need to come together and understand that we are the only ones that are going to be able to fix this. Because waiting for Donald Trump to do something is not going to happen. You know, trying to engage with fascists and white supremacists is not going to fix this problem.
That's right.
If you want to see this problem fixed, you take it back to your communities and you figure out how to mobilize and get engaged and cross community lines and join together to try and address this. Yes. We have a bishop who has come here all the way from Massachusetts, was here for no other purpose than a conference, and saw this online and said, I need to stand with you today. I'm going to let him introduce himself. His name is Bishop Swan, and he comes to us from the Church of Christ in Massachusetts, and we are absolutely honored to have him stand with us, an absolute staunch supporter of the Muslim community. Bishop Swan.
Good evening. There was nowhere else that I could be this evening. I was supposed to be going to a banquet with the American Heart Association, but when I saw this was happening, I felt that my place would be here to stand beside my Muslim brothers and sisters and those who stand in solidarity with them in this heinous hour of racial discrimination and degradation of our humanity. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yet you can't have a land of the free where you hold children in concentration camps.
That's right.
And where you decide that you're going to ban an entire population from the nation simply based upon how they worship God. Especially when you talk about the importance of religious freedom. You can't talk about religious freedom, but then at the same time, you want to ban those who don't practice religion like you practice religion. Say something to my fellow Christian brothers and sisters, and particularly those evangelicals and those on the right who claim that they worship the God that I worship and follow the teachings of Jesus Christ as I do. First of all, they would be shocked and amazed and surprised if they knew that they were actually following the teachings of a dark-skinned refugee.
Well,
I often wonder when they tell me that Jesus is coming back, and I often wonder, what would they do if Jesus came back and they found out he had brown skin like mine? Well, Jesus said this. He said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He didn't say, "Come unto me, some of you that labor." The Bible declares that God so loved America. I know I got some Bible scholars somewhere. God so loved the world. And if God so loved the world, it can't be America first and forget about the other 5.7 billion people on the planet. So I stand and I condemn wholeheartedly the actions of Trump, but also of this Supreme Court.
that's right.
This is what happens when a Supreme Court seat is stolen from the first black president. I completely repudiate the actions of the Supreme Court. To me, it's no more than the modern-day Dred Scott decision,
That's right.
which legalizes discrimination and dehumanizes part of our population. So I say unto you, my Muslim brothers and sisters, we stand with you. We stand against this racism and discrimination, and we will fight with you shoulder to shoulder. We will fight with you day and night until we see a change take place in America. God bless you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you stopping by with all your busy schedule here in Dallas. Next is Imam Umar Suleiman, President and founder of Yaqeen Institute and the co-chair of Faith Forward Dallas, who led the amazing protest at the airport that garnered international attention. Imam Umar Suleiman.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you all. When I say peace be with you all, I mean all of you. Peace be with you all. Those were the greetings that the prophets used. When Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, said peace be unto you, he meant all of us. And when we say peace be unto you, we should mean everybody. Peace be unto you. The weekend after Donald Trump issued Muslim ban and we stood at the airport together in solidarity, people of all races and religions, people of all backgrounds, people of most political persuasions, I want to say all political persuasions, most political persuasions, many who had not yet met a Muslim in their lifetime but felt like the country and all of its espoused values were being threatened. The weekend after that, there was a self-professed white supremacist that walked into a mosque in Quebec, in Canada, and murdered 6 peaceful worshipers. In court, he said that the reason why he went to that mosque and murdered 6 peaceful Muslim worshipers was because when Donald Trump issued Muslim ban, the Canadian government said that they would take in those that were turned away from this nation, and he didn't want those Muslim refugees coming to Canada. Let not the irony be lost that on that one day, more people were killed by that Donald Trump supporting white supremacist, and I know that sounds redundant, by that Donald Trump supporting white supremacist, more people were killed than the total amount of people that have been killed by Syrian refugees in the United States of America. So if you believe that this has anything to do with national security, or that those children that are being held in concentration camps are being held because they pose a threat to our national security, you are just deluded as the man who issued that ban and the man who killed in the name of that ban.
That's right. That's right.
This isn't about national security. This is about racial purity.
Yep. Say it
And the
again.
Supreme Court has upheld the doctrine of racial purity more than once.
Yes.
As the bishop just mentioned, it upheld racial purity in regards to African Americans in this country and judged that all of those espoused ideals of liberty and freedom did not apply to the black people that were stolen from their continent, brought here to build a nation that still does not recognize them as equal human beings.
That's right.
The Supreme Court of the United States upheld the legality of Japanese internment.
That's right.
There was a Chinese Exclusionary Act in the late 1800s, not issued or upheld by Donald Trump, but issued by the same institution that Donald Trump has hijacked today and exploited today. All of this is for us to understand that this is not about one man. This is about everything that got that man elected in office.
That's right.
We have to fight all of that. And when we stood together in that airport, and one protester would leave the chance and say, "Tell me what America looks like," and everybody would respond,
This is what America looks like.
well, guess what America looks like today?
Well.
It looks like McAllen. It looks like Pittsburgh. It doesn't look like what we want it to look like. And when we shouted together at the airport, "Tell me what America looks like," what we really meant was, tell me what America should look like.
That's right.
This is what America should look like. This is how we should be standing together. This is how we should be in solidarity with one another. I said it the day after in Thanksgiving Square that Donald Trump was creating his worst nightmare. Julio is my brother. We were together in McAllen, as many of us were. What we cannot allow to happen is for this racist government, not racist president, this racist government to isolate our communities from one another.
That's right.
And to target us in that isolation. All of us need to stand together. And I want to remind all of you, particularly the Muslims tonight who are afraid or who are feeling unwelcomed and targeted. The greatest Muslim American, or one of the two greatest Muslim Americans to ever live, Muhammad Ali, took on this government all by himself.
That's right.
Muhammad Ali versus the United States of America. And he won. It took one Muslim to fight this entire government when it perpetuated its oppression on the shores of Vietnam. And here at home, by sending off young black men and people that did not want to kill others to the shores of Vietnam. This is your country. Don't let anybody tell you anything different.
That's right. That's right.
This is your country.
Yes.
The government might not want you, but it doesn't have to. This is your country. So all of the Muslims that are here and that are watching, that are standing tonight, these are our brothers and sisters, and we stand together. And we appreciate our allies, and we also have our faith in God that we will continue to strive. And when this government moves on to the next community, it's already targeting another community. We have to be there, right there with that community as well. All together as one. Thank you, and peace be on to you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Imam Omar. And Imam Omar mentioned the protest at the airport. Speaking of that, the next speaker is Chris Hamilton, Dallas lawyer and activist who helped lead a significant part of the legal response at the DFW airport when the ban was first announced last January. Please welcome Chris Hamilton.
I read last week that a few days ago they said that Donald Trump, when he signed the executive order stopping the separations at the border, separations of children from their parents, that was the first time that Donald Trump had ever backed down. That was not true, because this group here and people like y'all across this country, when we stood up at the airports in the first weeks of Trump's presidency, he backed down.
That's right.
He withdrew that executive order twice. And the one that was upheld at the Supreme Court today is terrible, discriminatory, unconstitutional, but it is a weak shadow of what it was before y'all showed up to fight for our rights and for our brothers and sisters.
That's right.
So one thing that cannot happen is for anybody to take what happened today and say it was all for nothing, we didn't win. We're winning. What we've learned is when we get together, the coalition that we have of people of all races, religions, backgrounds, walks of life cannot be defeated unless we give up. When that ruling came down today, there was nothing about that ruling that surprised me or that I could not have predicted. The only thing I didn't know about that Supreme Court ruling is which day it was going to come down. When they stole the Supreme Court seat under Obama, we knew what was coming. At the airport, we didn't need the Supreme Court. Every court that looked at this in the United States, except for one, said that it was unconstitutional. Every court except for one. We can't expect anything different, whether it's immigration, whether it's workers' rights, whether it's racial equality, whatever it is, until we fix that. And so what do? What are we fighting against? What we're really fighting against is a struggle for who we are and what we stand for.
That's right.
And what's really under attack is the basic idea that we all know and understand in our hearts that we are all in this together. That's what's under attack. What they want to do is dehumanize and separate certain elements of our brothers and sisters, and as Omar said, to make us fight separately and alone. Because we have them outnumbered together. Trump got into office, half of the people in this country did not vote. Somebody said earlier, I think Ollie said voting is not enough. Voting is not enough. Because we got Trump to back down at the airport, we got Trump to back down at the border, and that didn't require anybody to go to the polls. But voting is important. And that's one of the things that we have to focus on and fight for. Half of the people in this country did not vote in the last presidential election, and that is the only way that we can change this Supreme Court. And so in our history of this country, for every racially discriminatory ruling, there was another one that came later to undo it. And the same thing is going to happen here if we don't back down, if we don't lose the fight for our identities and our collective being. And we understand that if we stick out this fight and stay in it together, that we're going to win, and nobody can stop us if we don't give up. That's what we're going to fight for. Let's stay together. Let's keep after it, regardless of who they attack. We're in it together. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris Emerson, for your continued support. We have only few speakers left.
We'll never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. People united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be divided. 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 The people united will never be divided.
We have two more speakers remaining. And the next one is Hadi Jawad. He is with Dallas Peace and Justice Center.
Hey, this is a tough act to follow, all the great speakers you all have heard tonight. How's everybody doing? Good. All right. No hand wringing, no getting depressed. Yeah? I mean, it's a dark day in America today, but we're not giving up, right?
That's right.
None of us are giving up.
That's right.
Right? If you were vigilant before, and I have to believe that you are, that you have a special place in your heart, that you care about our societies, you care about the composition of our city and of what it looks like and how vibrant it is. You have a special place in your heart for this city, for this land that we call home. So no hand wringing. We just have to get on the road and do the work that needs to be done, right?
Yes.
So the biggest shock that I got today was that the Supreme Court of the United States, which is supposed to be the avatar of wisdom in our land, right? This is the 9 men and women who we entrust the greatest, the most difficult issues to give us part of their wisdom on, to share their wisdom. And they failed us. They failed us on two counts. Number one, we should give out a chair for Sonia Sotomayor.
Yeah.
Sonia Sotomayor. Yeah. What a strong voice. The voice of dissent that she wrote today. She said that when you start considering these kind of situations, you have to look at intent. And we know that candidate Trump said very clearly in his own words that Donald J. Trump is asking for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims coming into the United States. In the first iteration, as many speakers pointed out, the Muslim ban number 1, that Chris and Alia and Sheikh Omar, everybody protested that, was considered too broad. Every federal judge said this is unconstitutional, except one, as Chris pointed out. So they dressed it up. They dressed it up. They took Iraq out. They put some other clauses in there. They put Venezuela in there. They put North Korea in there, just to kind of water it down. And Trump complained about it. He says, he's telling his lawyer after the Muslim ban 1.0 doesn't go anywhere. He says, y'all gonna water this thing down. I want a tough one. The other point that the Supreme Court is betraying us upon is they did not consider the facts. I would have always thought that the Supreme Court considers the facts of the situation. Now there's two things they're telling us. They're telling us that the people who are coming from Central America and Mexico to this land are all criminals, right? The fact is that rates of crime in this population is much lower than the mainstream population. They are not criminals. These are just people looking for a better way of life. Most of them that are coming to our borders, on the southern border, are hungry. They're hungry. There's a lack of food in Honduras and Guatemala and South America. Not just crime that they're fleeing, they're hungry. Then they tell us that the Muslims that are coming are terrorists, right? The fact is that there's not one act of terrorism that can be attributed to any Muslim that is coming from any of these countries that they're telling us about.
That's right.
Not one. So it's kind of mind-boggling that the Supreme Court did not consider that they let us down on both these issues. So keep your resolve up, keep your spirit up. We have great leaders in our community. The fight goes on. We will continue to fight, just like the Japanese internment has been relegated now to, it was overruled not only in the court of history, but in the U.S. Supreme Court. We will push this new SCOTUS proclamation back into the dustbin of history.
Yes.
We would now like to welcome Domingo Garcia. He is with LULAC, and he just led us down to McAllen, a feisty group of activists, a feisty group of grandmas and moms and just regular old people. And he led us down there, and that is where we had that momentous opportunity to witness what we saw. And he is going to say a few words with us.
Domingo!
Let me, just to follow up, yes, we were in McAllen, Texas this Saturday. And as we stood there in the Texas sun, and we saw a bus coming toward us filled with little children. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 years old. And there's a scene where Omar Suleiman came and prayed and put his hand to talk to those little children. And that picture has gone viral worldwide because it talks about real American values. And real American values cherishes our diversity. It cherishes who we are. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter our color. It doesn't matter our religion. We're all the same. So we need to do this. We need to fight the darkness with light. We need to fight the bigotry with unity.
That's right.
And we need to stand forth on July 4th and say, you know what? In America, all men and women are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights.
That's right.
Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Catholic. It doesn't matter. But think about this. What if there had been a ban that said nobody but Israel could come to the United States?
Hey.
What if there had been a ban that said no Catholics from Italy or Ireland could come to the United States? It's a slippery slope. We cannot do that. We must stand back and fight for what's edge of the statue of liberty. And what it says there is, give me your poor humble masses yearning to be.
You guys know that?
That's the American dream.
You guys know
That's
that
the America we need to fight
woke up
for.
this
And
morning.
on July 4th, join us
Can you sing?
when we protest at the United States
State on
here on
freedom.
Simmons Freeway.
State on freedom.
Say, America
Oh, Jesus.
is about all of us. We are all
Should we say it
America.
at
Thank you
as
very
it
much.
ends?
All right, Domingo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last but not least,
Well,
I'd like
after
to
the
invite
after the end, I think.
men of
Try
God,
to get
men
everybody
of
going.
spirituality, men of humanity, whom many of you have come to know through his blogs that he used to write, and the fast that he kept with a Muslim imam in Plano. Brothers and sisters, welcome Reverend Wes Magruder, senior pastor of Kessler Park.
You know, I woke up
Methodist
this morning
Church and
and
chair
mine
of
stayed on
Refugee
freedom.
Services of Texas.
We'll try to get it going after he. Let's say, can you sing?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm really glad I came. To be honest, when I heard the news today, I was pretty depressed, and I really wanted to spend the evening in front of the television eating Doritos. I didn't want to do this, but I can honestly say I feel a lot better because we're together. And so I would ask is as we pray, if you don't have anything in your hand, would you mind just reaching out and holding hands with those around you as a symbol of our unity and our strength and the fact that no matter how ugly it gets, we have each other. Let us pray. God of justice, today the word that comes to mind is ugly. But we believe that you make all things beautiful.
Yes.
We believe that those of us who are gathered here are beautiful.
Yes.
No matter what other people tell us,
Yes.
no matter what the policies of our government might say, we know that we are beautiful. And that each one of us are more beautiful together than alone.
Yes.
When we get discouraged, send your Spirit to encourage us. When we feel sad, send us something that gives us a jolt of adrenaline and happiness. When we feel chaos and disorder, send us into the world to be makers of peace. When we feel alone, bring a brother or sister next to us to lift us up. And when we see someone else alone or sad or in disorder or discouraged, may we be the ones, enable us to be the ones who are strong enough and brave enough to reach out, to love, to encourage, and to speak peace. Oh God, send us out. Send us out not to be civil,
Yes.
but instead strong in true love.
Yes. Yes.
Amen.
Oh God, send us out
Yes.
with your peace. And may we all go together. May we all together as one voice say, Amen.
Amen. Woke up this morning
with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Everybody. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Stayed on friendship, stayed on liberty, unity. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on unity. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on unity. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on unity. Hallelujah, not the church. Hallelujah, hallelujah.